Okay, I just wanted to hop on here. I was just doing the editing on this video on the 024 Wood Boss, and this one is on timing the saw with without the base gasket in it, so to actually get my numbers without a base gasket. But just want to preface it. I do live really close to an airfield, and in the beginning section of this video, you'll hear a lot of jet noise. Please stay through it. There's a lot of good information, I think, in this video. The jets quit flying about halfway through the video, so it is a bit noisy, background noise in the beginning, but I promise it does go away, and then it gets down to quietness again. But it was just the only time I had in the day to make this video up, and I wanted to do it, and I was curious to see how much the camera was going to pick up, but you still hear me talking. It's just there's a lot of jet noise in the background. So I just want to come on here real quick. I'm going to just stick this in front of the video just as a little preface on it, just to warn you. But I think there's a lot of good information on it. We go through timing the saw with this degree wheel, and then go over the book of where I'm at with it. And next time when I come back, I think it'll be probably in grinding, and I'll show the numbers that I actually plan on doing with the saw. And yeah, we'll see. It might be after I'm done grinding. I might just show the final product. But anyways, just want to preface that, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, good evening to everyone. Mike from Mike's Custom Saws here, back on the 024 Wood Boss. I've got a little time this evening, so I figured I would try to get a video knocked out here, timing the saw without a base gasket. I've got my book ready to write some numbers down, and then the other thing I thought would be cool would be to put the camera facing this new digital degree wheel per se. I've got to play around with it for a little bit here and starting to learn how to use it, so maybe I could position the camera over here so it'll be facing right onto the degree wheel, and go through setting top dead center, and then getting our exhaust intake timing and such like that. Since the last video, I did a bunch more cleaning on the saw. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to pull my book out here real quick. The squish, when it was stocked with the base gasket before I took the jug off, was 37 thousandths, right? So then I took the base gasket out, and we were at 19 thousandths. So 37 thousandths minus the 19 thousandths of the base gasket would give us 18 thousandths inches of squish. So I took the jug off, cleaned it all up. There was so much carbon in the top of that jug in the combustion chamber. So I ran the squish on it when I put the jug back on without the base gasket, and my squish was 22 thousandths. So from 18 thousandths to 22, I gained 4 thousandths because there was 4 thousandths of carbon in there. So I'm okay with that. Like I said, I don't have the means yet to be able to do any machine work on the base of the jug, so I'm gonna have to stay with that. Once I put my Loctite in there, probably add another thousandth or two. So I'll probably be sitting at 23 or 24. I like to aim for that 20 thousandths. It's been working well for me, so I can't really change it though, because I don't have the means to cut that base down at all. The other thing that I did was I cleaned up the exhaust, and I think I got a plan for this. I had one of Gordy's universal ports. Let's see if that thing kind of shows up in there. Universal exhaust port, and I'll pull it out of here real quick. And this thing is, you know, you gotta, that's what they look like. Little West Coast saw piece from Gordy. You kind of gotta bend the tabs and shape them and do your work for it, because it's a universal piece. But it's got the spark arrestor in there. They work really well. I've used them on many saws now. So I think what I'm gonna do is, let's get this oriented right. So it'll be This is the bottom. It'll be sitting on the saw in that area. I think I'm gonna put that right here. So, sorry, super unprepared this evening. Just wanted to get this out. So that exhaust port will be sitting like that. And then there it goes. I'll bend the tabs down around it to make it fit really tight to there. Other thing I did, which I've been doing, I gotta clean all this up yet. I just did this really late night last night, was I cut that center section out. I like to leave all the little holes in there. Kind of acts as a silencer in a way, you know. I mean, it's so it's not completely open into this box of an exhaust. So, but it allows the majority of the exhaust to come straight through the hole. So I'll clean all this up. The other thing I also did was on the cover of it is I took the plate out here. So this is, it would have to come through all that, come this way, and then go through these tiny little holes in here. Actually, I think they were over here, and go through and then out through this spark arrestor. So I did save the pieces. So this is the plate that comes out of the exhaust, the outer cover, and that plate sat in there like that, and then there's those little holes I was talking about. So that exhaust literally had to come out of there, through all the holes in that thing, come into here, go through these tiny little holes, and then out through the spark arrestor and out the exhaust. It just too much restriction, especially for what I want to do with this saw. So let me pick up that piece here real quick. There's that little universal port. So I'll put that on there. I'll scribe in here, cut all this out on the muffler, and then I'll work these tabs. Usually they need to be ground down, bent, all kinds of stuff to get them to, you want that thing to be sealed tight on there. So universal port, that's gonna go on the exhaust. I thought about doing a pipe and everything, but you know, I still want this to be a work saw, and I want to be able to use it, and with, you know, it's just easier on me to do that. Sorry, you can hear the jets there probably. We do live in an area where there's a naval base close by, so they're doing their practice. Boys gotta do their bouncing tonight, you know, their touch and goes. I also got my rings in, so those guys, that was the final piece that I was waiting for. The other thing I did since the last video is I did crank seals on this. When the saw came to me, I was assured that it had passed pressure back well, but since I was buying all the other parts, I don't want to do all this work to this thing and then have a crank seal go out shortly after. So I mean, for the few bucks that they were, it was worth it just to add them into the parts. So this little puppy is gonna be scrappy. It's gonna look like crap, excuse me, but it's gonna not look well, but it's gonna, another jet, it's gonna have a lot of good stuff under the hood. So with that all said, oh, one other thing, kind of cool. You're over here. My brother-in-law, you know, he's the one who did the 3D printing on this little box. He printed up some, there's an I and an H, some Stihl letters. There we go, there's the L. So anyways, we're gonna do something with those eventually. And that'll be pretty cool. Kind of a little fun little Stihl project, because I love Stihl. That's like my favorite. Can't help it. I've only got one Husqvarna here in the shop, and that's my brother-in-law's. Not to say that I haven't used it. I mean, I have used it, good saw. Thing runs great. But I just have all my experience on Stihl, so I'm not dissing on the Husks at all. Husqvarna makes an amazing saw. When I was doing the wildland firefighting, they were it was always Husqvarna and Stihl, so just kind of depends. And if I was out of a saw and I needed one, I would pick up a Husqvarna any day of the week. So with that said, let's get in on this thing. Okay, I hope that's pretty good on the camera there. Kind of set it up. You can see the degree wheel right here. See how it's moving. Gotta apologize for those jets. This is the only time I got to do this filming, but they decided to fly tonight. We live about a mile or two off of runway centerline, extended runway centerline if you're an aviation person, from their practice field down here. So you never know when they're going to be flying. They just come in and do their thing. So to get this set up, basically what I've done is I've got my light here. I brought it up. I'm moving the flywheel side now. I brought it up to what looks like top dead center, and then I tightened up on the Jacob's chuck with this thing straight up and down. So it gets me close, you know. It's very, very sensitive. You can see that. So I've got a piece of wire here. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put it right down the intake underneath the piston. And then I'm going to rotate this thing down so that that piston skirt hits it. Okay? And then I'm going to zero this guy out. Okay, so now it's zeroed out with the piston coming down. Now I'm going to rotate it through its entire duration. So I'm opening the intake up and I'm coming down. And I'm going to record that number. That's 123.5 or 123.6. When I've been using this, I'm not doing like half degrees or anything. So if it's 123.6, I'm going to 124. Okay? So 124. I'm going to take my phone here and get the calculator out. 124 divided by 2 is 62 degrees. So I've got to come to 62 degrees. So I'm going to come back all the way down to 62 degrees. See how sensitive it is. We'll get it here. Oh. Okay. I'll get 62.1. That's fine with me. Now I'm going to just confirm that I'm right at top dead center. And it looks right. So I'm going to hold that where it's at. If I can, let's see, get it to 62. Okay, 62. I'm going to double click it. Okay. There's our top dead center right there. Now I'm just going to look through the spark plug hole, and I want to just rotate this back and make sure, yeah, I'm in that dwell area. So I know I'm at my top dead center. So again, this is the first time I'm using this. It's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. There's my zero. I'm just going to rotate it a little bit. Yep, I'm not seeing that piston move at all. It's right up top. So we're good there. So that's it. That's it for setting top dead center with this thing. So much quicker than the wheel was. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go time the exhaust and see where that thing is opening up at. So again, I use my light. I'm going to put it through the spark plug hole and I'm coming over and looking at the exhaust here. So I'm going to keep rotating it, and you guys are seeing it more than me because I can't see that degree wheel. I'm going to go until I see that first ray of light. Everybody's a little different. Some people just go until they just see it crack. I like to go until I see basically the whole exhaust port. Not the whole thing, but I mean just like a sliver of light across the whole exhaust port. So we're right in that area. And then we'll come over here and I'll see what we're reading. What are we reading? 101.8. So that's 102. Let's do it again just to make sure. Come back a little. Let's see what that is. I can't see it. 101.4. I like to do it 3 times. Come back a little bit. Okay, what do we got? 101.3. So, what did I say the first one? Let me do that one more time. So we had a 101.34, 101.3, somewhere around there. Trying to remember these things, so I'm not looking at it. Right there, I'm looking up and I can see the opening up. 101.6, 101.7. I say 101, 102. So right around that 101 and a half. That's the problem with this thing, is that with the wheel it was much easier. Like you're either degree or degree. You're not trying to split degrees. I'm gonna say that's 102. So on our exhaust, 102 degrees after top dead center. All right, now let's go to the intake. So we're gonna have to, we're coming around. Now spin this thing all the way around. We're gonna get back up to top dead center. Right about there. Okay, so on the intake, how I time them is before top dead center. So I'm gonna come around here and I'm gonna come back and I'm looking down through the intake now. I want to just see where that piston opens up on that intake. So it's going to be before top dead center. Now I'm rotating so the piston is coming up. And we're seeing it right about, let's see here. Somewhere's in there. So 66. It's not as easy with the intake because you don't have that ray of light and just kind of eyeballing it. 66. That's 2 times. Yeah, about 66 is where it's opening up at. 66. So that's 66 degrees. Before top dead center. Now, for the transfers, I'm gonna stop the video here. I'm gonna get out a I've got a little bore scope, and I like sending that down the spark plug hole, and then I can really see where those transfers are opening, and I'll throw the camera onto the screen of the bore scope so you guys can check it out. But just wanted to kind of run through this thing too. You saw how quick that was. It doesn't take any time at all. And let's just check my work here on this thing that didn't screw up. It's been pretty good as I've been playing with it and practicing with it. Let's get it down to, see how sensitive it is, just tapping it. Okay, there we are. We're at top dead center right there. I'm gonna turn the light on again. And I'm gonna rotate this. I just wanna see that there's no piston movement at all. So it'd be actually interesting to see. I wanna see, let's do this. Let's see, we can get this back. And I'm gonna rotate it as the saw would be rotating. Okay, I wanna see how many degrees of dwell it has basically from that top dead center before the piston starts moving. So I'm looking at it in here. What did I look at? 7 there. I'm gonna do it one more time. Okay, there's 0. I'll tell you when I see piston movement. Right there. So about 9 or 10 degrees before that piston even moves. That's when the piston is just sitting there. And it's probably, that's from top going down. It's probably about the same from coming up. So let's check it out, actually. Let's rotate it backwards and see. So let's bring this back down. Okay, let's rotate it the other way. I'll say when I see the piston move. Right there. About 9.6 and 9.7, almost exactly the same. So about 20 degrees, about 9.5 each way. So there's 20 degrees of crankshaft rotation where that piston ain't doing anything. It's up there in dwell, as I would call it. But that's something that I'm gonna probably write down just to have it in my notes, because there's got to be something with that knowledge that we can do something with. So let me adjust the camera. I'm gonna get the borescope out and we'll take a look at that. Okay, hopefully that all is showing in the camera. I think it is. Here's the borescope. I'm moving it around right now. What we're gonna do is gonna go right down this piston hole. And you kind of see the piston there. And then I'm gonna rotate this crank around. So there's going right down the hole. And I'm gonna bring that piston down. You start seeing that piston move down. And then if I tilt this, I'm gonna try to see where those transfers are. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Alright, there's our exhaust opening. And then if I can get this to the right angle, bear with me here. Alright, something in there. There we go, that's the angle I need. Okay, you can see the exhaust in the lower left hand corner there. And there's our transfers, just opening right there. I see if I can get that. You see that? So there's the transfer. Opening up. Closed. Open. Right there is our transfer. Here's our exhaust. So somewhere's right in there. Let's see if I can get a little bit. Ah, there we go. Right, if I can hold that right there. All right, so either just cracking right there. Right about. There's the whole thing. So I'm I like to go like I did with the exhaust until the entire thing all the way across is open. Some guys might do it different. So we're at 131 degrees, 131.2 degrees on the transfer. Let's see if we can see the other side. Not going to move the degree wheel. Now I'd have to mess with the borescope more. I like, oh, there it is right there, and it looks like, yep, you can see it. Right there is where that one is. So they're opening it at the same time. I'm going to just open this up a little bit more. There it is. Yep. So I'm going to call it 131 degrees. And you can see, now these lines in here, you can see it looks like scoring on that exhaust. It's not. It's scuffing there. That cylinder was so good when I took it apart. I was so happy. I was excited. All right, I'm going to bring that piston back up. Right about there. Now we're in our dwell. Now, see, we're just coming down. I'm looking at the degree wheel here too. There we go. It's top dead center. Okay, so the transfer showed 131 degrees. I'm going to write that down real quick in the notebook. 131 degrees. All right, let's figure out our blowdown then. We got our exhaust here. Let me, well, I'll figure it out here. 131, 102. Let me come back to you, get some stuff organized here, and then we'll take a look at this stuff. Okay, so that was just kind of a quick rundown. I wanted to kind of get this on video with using this, show you guys how that thing works. I love it. It's still a learning curve. I'm still trying to learn it. I'm used to the old wheel style. The one thing I did find is that this is just a Klein degree wheel. Just bought it from Amazon. I think it was under $35 after tax, and then building the piece around it. But it does have an auto timer, so it shuts off. So when I was getting the borescope out and getting that thing to put together, it's coming in case, you know, it did time out on me. But it's so easy and quick. I mean, I've got it down now where it's under a minute, probably maybe under 2 minutes to be able to find my top dead center again. So it's not really a big deal. Would it be nice if it stayed on? Yeah, that would be cool. But it really isn't a big deal on there. So now we got our numbers, and I'll hold up the notebook here so you can take a look at them, because I figured out our durations and figured out the blowdown. I don't pay attention. I pay attention to durations a lot on the intake and exhaust, but I really don't pay attention to the blowdown that much, because I don't do any upper transfer work. I'm going to do lower transfers on this. I may on this saw, which I've never done before, but I can actually do it now because I got a little 90-degree right angle die grinder for the Fordham. I'm not going to raise them or anything like that. The blowdown came down to 29 degrees. I don't have any experience with messing with the blowdown. Maybe will learn eventually, and sometimes it's just playing with them and doing different stuff. But on this saw, I probably still won't. But what I might do is kind of go in there and kind of shape the upper transfers so that when that intake charge is coming up, it's shooting into that cylinder better. So we'll see. I might get in there and do just minor. I really don't want to. I don't want to screw anything up on this thing. I really want it to come out good. I'm starting to get more and more excited about this saw. So it's a little saw, but little saws that can make a lot of power, it's pretty cool to me. So with that being said, that's probably all I'll do. I will definitely hug out the lower transfers. I did that on the 024 Super for my buddy Steve, and that worked out really well. And then the next step, and I probably won't get it on film, I've done it in past videos where I'm actually showing how I do my lines and actually marking the cylinder so that I know where to grind to. And then I might come in and do a little bit of a video maybe while I'm grinding. I don't know if that's what people want to see. I mean, there's a lot of videos out there, guys grinding, but it's I haven't even really watched many of them because it's literally you're sitting there grinding. But I do have a past video of one of the saws that I did where I showed exactly how I use a ring to set the timing marks on here. I'm not sure where I want to go with this thing. Typically, most of my saws, I don't go beyond like 5 degrees on both intake and exhaust. Sometimes a little bit staggered too, but I want it to be a saw that survives, and you know, I guess you'd say a work saw. I want it to be something that's got more power, but it's gonna survive. I'm not looking to blow a saw up. I've done that with one saw. It wasn't because I pushed it too far. It was all on me. One thing, I hung a ring, and it was on my 038. I didn't probably do enough chamfer. It was on the exhaust side, and I was super stoked with that saw when I started running it. I let it go through a tank of fuel just for break-in, and then I went all out on it, and I was going through. It had 28-inch bar, and I was burying that bar just round after round after round, and finally she just stopped. And it was because I hung the top ring. And so destroyed the ring. Didn't destroy the jug, which was good. I made a little score mark on it. I was able to repair that because it was right where, oh, there goes my light again. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. The garage light just wants to go off. It's great to have when you're coming in with groceries and whatnot, but when you're doing anything like this and there's no movement, it's been sitting here, it goes off. But anyways, that 038, yeah, I hung that ring on there and did a little damage to the jug, nothing major. Destroyed the piston, destroyed the ring, obviously. So put a new piston in, new rings, and that was the only time that I've ever put a saw together with an aftermarket piston too. Then I went back and bought a steel piston and steel rings, and she's still running today. Runs really good. So I don't know. Maybe it's something with that. Maybe it was I put more of it on me that I didn't give it the break-in time it needed, and probably didn't do enough chamfering. So anyways, enough about the 038. Let's I'm gonna see if I can just bring this up. I don't know if it's gonna work. Now I'm gonna move the camera. All right. Okay, so hopefully that's showing up well. Move some stuff here, exhaust pieces and stuff. Anyways, let's just go through it. We got the stock with the base gasket at 37 thousandths. Stock with the base gasket, exhaust was 100 degrees after top dead center. Intake came out to 63 degrees before top dead center, and the transfers at 126 after top dead center. Gave us a blow down of 26 degrees. Here's my durations. Exhaust was 160, duration on the intake was 126. So, as I explained earlier, with the base gasket, you can kind of read the numbers off there. I'm not going to read them all, but there was a lot of carbon in this cylinder, so I lost, when it come down here to the squish, 22 thousandths is what the squish came with, no base gasket. So that meant there was 4 thousandths of carbon on that thing, which is okay. I mean, it would have been nicer if it was 2 thousandths, because that would have put my 18 at 20. That's okay though. But the inside of that cylinder is looking a lot cleaner now, which is good. I got all that carbon out of there. So no base gasket. What we did tonight, exhaust is at 102 degrees, so we gained 2 degrees after top dead center. Changed our duration to 156. Our intake went to 66 degrees from 63. Duration up to 132. Transfers 131 degrees. The blowdown of 29. Blowdown didn't change a whole bunch.
well, I guess about the same as 126 to 131, and then 26 to 29. Oh, the other thing, well, I'll go over that. I'll go over it real quick here. The key. I did a timing advance on this. I did a timing advance on my 200T, and that one was completely stock except for the timing advance. And I did 6 degrees on that. Runs like a champ. It's absolutely awesome. And I'll show that in a video coming out here when Steve and I had a little field day. So just some notes here. The key was 78 thousandths inch. I took 30 thousandths off of it, which brought it to 48 thousandths, and then gave me 8 degrees in advance. And I'm going to swing the camera around here because I want to talk about that a little bit. Alright, when it comes to the keyways, in all honesty, I've only done the 200T on a timing advance. I was going to do it, well, I should say I did it a little bit on the 201 that I built and put those videos up, but the 201 was a little different. The 201, the key is integral with the flywheel, and I messed it up. I was trying to rush the job, and I didn't seat the flywheel on there completely, and I ended up breaking the keyway a bit. So I went back to just not advancing the timing on that one. So that one has no timing advance on the 201. The 200T though, I did do 6 degrees. On this one, I wanted to push it a little bit further, and I want to see what 8 degrees does on it. So the difference, what I do though, now this is traditional Woodruff key. It's not on the flywheel. It's not integral with the flywheel. It's a separate key. I don't like to do the technique of just sanding the keyway down on a flat piece of emery, because you're taking the whole keyway down. And my theory is when you're taking the whole keyway down, when it sits in that slot in the crank, when you turn that flywheel to give it the advance, it's taking that key and tilting it in that keyway. So it's a little bit more work, but what I do is I put that key into the crankshaft, take a fine tip Sharpie and make a line on the key on the portion that is above the crankshaft. Take the key out of the crankshaft, put it in a small vise, and literally you have to use a magnet to get it, because it's so small, to get it lined up in the vise where you want. And then I'll take a hand file and I'll file just the portion that is above the crankshaft. It was 20 thousandths I took off for the 200T. That gave me 6 degrees. This is 30 thousandths. That gave me 8 degrees. So then that makes it so that the key doesn't tip in there when you set your timing advance. So hopefully that makes sense for everyone. I wish I had the key to show you, but it's on the saw already. So maybe if I do another one, I'll kind of film that process. It's quite a process, so it takes me about an hour and a half, 2 hours to do. So we'll see how it works on this. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Everyone have a good evening. Thanks for going along with this 024 Wood Boss, and I'll see you on the next one.